The year was 2784, and the Vyx Dominion had never lost a war. Their empire spanned 43 star systems, conquered through a doctrine as elegant as it was merciless. Arrive, demand absolute submission, annihilate one habitable planet as an example, and watch the rest kneel. They called it the calculus of fear. It had worked for 2 centuries. No species had ever chosen the second demonstration. Until they came to Sol. The Vyx Armada, 300 obsidian wedges the size of small moons, dropped out of hyperspace just beyond Luna's orbit on September 14, 2784. Their opening broadcast was the same one they had used since the fall of the Kale Republic. People of the third planet. You have 72 standard hours to disarm, surrender your orbital infrastructure, and prepare for integration. Refuse, and one of your worlds will be rendered uninhabitable. This is not negotiation. There is no alternative. The message was translated into 4,117 human languages simultaneously. Every screen on Earth, Mars, Titan, and the Belt lit up with the same cold, genderless voice. On Earth, in the submerged city of New Jakarta, a 12-year-old girl named Aisha Rahman watched the broadcast with her grandmother while typhoon-grade rain hammered the dome above them. On Mars, in the red dust streets of New Cydonia, a bar full of miners laughed so hard they spilled their synthetic beer. In the lunar capital Armstrong, the Joint Human Defense Council met in emergency session and, after 6 hours of shouting, did something no previous species had ever done. They sent a reply consisting of a single video file. It was 30 seconds long. It showed a grainy black and white clip from 1945, the Trinity test, the first detonation of an atomic bomb, followed by a modern montage of a 400-megaton cast foam warhead going off in deep space during a 2,779 test. Then the camera panned to a woman in an old-fashioned United Nations uniform, Secretary General Elodie Moro, who looked straight into the lens and said, in flawless Vyx, "We're ready when you are." Then the feed cut to the opening riff of Sweet Child, Oh Mine, because humanity has always had a sense of humor about apocalypse. The Vyx were not amused. 69 hours later, their first strike lanced toward Earth. A rod of exotic antimatter 400 kilometers long, designed to crack the planet like an egg. It never arrived. Halfway through the inner system, it simply vanished, along with the 12 destroyers escorting it. No explosion. No debris. Just absence. The Vyx fleet paused, something they had also never done, and demanded an explanation. Humanity sent another video. This one showed a ring-shaped structure the size of Saturn's orbit, cloaked until that exact moment, winking into visibility. On its inner surface, 400,000 independently targeted gravitational lenses focused the entire output of Sol itself into a beam that could erase stars. The caption underneath read, "Project Helios. Took us 80 years. You're welcome." The Vyx commander Sub-Archon Vale, 9, a being who had personally overseen the extinction of 17 species, experienced the closest thing his neuroarchitecture had to confusion. Then humanity did something even stranger. They invited the Vyx to talk. Not surrender. Not ultimatum. Talk. A neutral patch of space was chosen near the asteroid 99942 Apophis. One human ship, the hastily retrofitted civilian liner CSV Marco Polo, and one Vyx battlecruiser met under truce protocols neither side had ever used before. Aisha Rahman, now 24 and a junior xenosociologist, was on the Marco Polo because her viral video at age 12 had made her the unofficial human mascot of Defiance. She stood on the observation deck beside Captain Jonah Park, watching the Vyx ship approach like a shard of night. "Do you think they'll actually come aboard?" she asked. "They're curious," Jonah said. "That's new for them. Curiosity is a crack in the armor." The Vyx delegation that boarded consisted of 3 individuals, Sub-Archon Vale, 9, its chief tactician Clive, and a low-caste engineer named TVRK, 44, who was only there to repair the translator if it broke. They did not come in armor. That was the first shock. Vyx warriors never removed their exoskeletons in front of inferiors. Vale, 9 appeared as a tall, alabaster figure with jointed limbs like a praying mantis and eyes like polished obsidian. Captain Jonah greeted them with a traditional Korean bow, then offered them barley tea because the galley didn't have anything else that wasn't lethal to their biochemistry. Vale. 9 stared at the cup as if it were a live grenade. You attempt poison? It asked through the translator. It's just tea, Jonah said. We're not trying to kill you. Yet. Aisha stepped forward. We read your public archives. Your species has a ritual beverage called scifi. Bitter root, high caffeine, drunk before battle to sharpen the mind. We don't have scifi, but barley tea is what my Halmiani gave me when I was scared. Same idea. She held out her own cup. TVRK, 44, the engineer, reached for it before its superiors could stop it. It sipped. Its facial plates flushed a startled violet. It is acceptable, it said, voice soft. Vale. 9 did not drink, but it also did not order TVRK, 44 executed for breach of protocol. That was the second shock. The negotiations lasted 9 days. Human diplomats rotated in shifts because we get tired. The Vyx did not, but they began mimicking the human habit of drinking hot liquids anyway. By day 5, Vale. 9 was taking its tea with 2 sugars. On day 7, Aisha asked the question no one else dared. Why do you do it? The calculus of fear. You're the most advanced species we've ever met. You could trade, explore, build. Why does it always have to be conquest? Vale. 9 regarded her for so long the translator glitched. Finally it answered. Because we are afraid. The room went silent. Clive, the tactician, elaborated. Our homeworld was glassed 2,117 cycles ago by a species we never identified. Only 40,000 of us survived in orbital pods. We vowed never again to be weak. Every species we meet could be the next threat. So we strike first. We make them fear us more than we fear them. It is survival. Jonah leaned forward. And has it worked? Vale 9's head tilted. Define worked. Have you slept better? Aisha asked quietly. Any night in the last 2,000 years? The Vyx did not answer. That night, TVRK 44 asked to see the ship's engine room. It spent 6 hours talking to a Scottish engineer named Maggie Chun about fusion bottle tuning, laughing, an unsettling clicking sound, when Maggie cursed at a plasma flare. On day 9, Vale. 9 made a proposal no Vyx had ever uttered. Show us another way. So humanity did something no one, not even the most optimistic diplomats, had planned for. We invited the entire Vyx fleet to Earth. Not as prisoners. As guests. The logistics were insane. 300 moon-sized warships parked in formation above the Indian Ocean, casting shadows that stretched from Sri Lanka to the Maldives. The internet broke for 2 days under the sheer weight of selfies. The Vyx were given guided tours. Tokyo, Nairobi, Reykjavik, Rio. They walked the Great Wall, gently, because their feet were sharp. They attended a concert in Vienna where a children's choir sang Ode to Joy in Vyx harmonics. They tried pho, injera, and deep dish pizza. Several developed an addiction to boba tea. TVRK 44 enrolled incognito at MIT under the name Terry Vick and graduated top of its class 4 years later. Vale. 9 spent a month in a Buddhist monastery in Bhutan. It did not speak when it returned, but its exoskeleton had been repainted matte white, the color of surrender in Vyx culture. 6 months after first contact, the Vyx Dominion officially disbanded its conquest fleet. Not because they were defeated, because they discovered, to their utter astonishment, that being loved was a more powerful survival strategy than being feared. They still had the antimatter rods. They just pointed them at asteroids now, mining iridium for joint human Vyx colonies. Aisha Rahman and Vale, 9, who took the human name Valen because it felt right, co-authored a book that sold 400 million copies across known space. Its title was simple. They wanted war. They got humanity. On the last page was a picture taken on the Marco Polo's observation deck the day the truce was signed. Valen stands beside Aisha, one clawed hand resting, hesitant, careful, on her shoulder. Both of them are drinking barley tea. Underneath, in both English and Vyx script, is a single line. We thought strength was the absence of fear. Turns out it's the presence of trust. And somewhere out past Pluto, Project Helios still spins, powered by the sun, watching the stars. Just in case. But these days, its targeting computers are mostly used to paint auroras on demand for children's birthdays. Humanity, after all, has always believed that the best way to win a war is to make the other side realize there never needed to be one in the first place. The Vyx learned that lesson the hard way. They also learned to love extra foam lattes. Some victories taste sweet,